Hello, good evening, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live with me, your host, Owen David, and I'm joined tonight all the way from Wishaw in Scotland by the lovely Lorah Hatton. Lorah, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
All good, Lorah, all good. Laura's just come running from work to jump on the podcast. Dedication to Rangers, Lorah, absolute dedication to Rangers.
I made it just in time. I've still got the bottom half of the work clothes on, but we're here.
Absolutely. So, guys, it is obviously we're going to talk about last night's game. We'll talk about the big news that's come out today, and obviously we'll look ahead to the St Mirren game as well. A few quick hellos to those in the live chat already. So we've got Pure Loyalists says quick hello and like tonight, Owen. Again, painting my daughter's room. Oh, that sounds fun, doesn't it? Not. Not a big fan of that. John says he was fighting back the tears when he saw the news of Stephen's retirement. What a legendary name in our history. Lorah, that news tonight that's come out, the picture we started the podcast with and the picture tweeted out by Rangers tonight. Lorah, Stephen Davis, what are your memories and what are your comments on Stephen?
Oh, absolute legend. I actually found it through you because I was at work when it came out. So I just found out an hour or two ago. And since then, I've been thinking about him. I absolutely love Stephen Davis. I think he's a fantastic football player. And, that's not the last, even though he's retired, it's not the last we're going to see him. He's going to do great. He's going to get his badges. And I think he's going to work his way up to Rangers eventually in the future. Great guy. Just got to say that. Definitely up there with one of my favourite Rangers players.
Absolutely. Stephen Moorhead said, Stephen Davis, what an absolute legend. Thanks for the memories. I think that's something we all echo, Stephen. But, when that news came out, Lorah, I've got to say, I actually went back and found some videos on YouTube and sat for about 10, 15 minutes watching videos of him. And as I said to you at the start, I think, you kind of, with all the fact that, he's been out for so long now, you kind of, in a little way, forget some of the goals that he scored were just absolutely outstanding. And what an amazing player he was. And 140 caps for his country, Lorah. That is just absolutely amazing.
It's incredible. And I think you were saying that that's the most from a British football player. Is that right?
And it's correct, yeah. He's the most capped British player.
Oh, do you know what? Fair play to him. Absolutely deserves it. That is a brilliant status to have, isn't it? 140 caps. Unbelievable.
Absolutely, yes. 100%. And Stephen Faye says, hi, Lorah. Hello, Stephen. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. And I think, we kind of... it's sad in a way, though. The one thing I was reflecting on in the video that I put out earlier, it would have been nice in a way, I suppose, if he could have come back, even if he just could have come on for 5 minutes in a game at the end of the season, just so we could have said goodbye properly, Lorah.
Absolutely. I never even thought about that. That would have been amazing. A wee 10 minutes at the end so he can walk off and get his standing ovation that he absolutely deserves. That would have been really nice to see.
And, Rangers, I think as he was described by Heart and Hand and Four Lads tonight, Rangers royalty, absolute royalty, Hall of Famer, one of the best ever, someone who's going to go down. And one thing for me, Lorah, about Stephen Davis is that it's not just him as a footballer, it's him as a guy, him as a player, him as a person. He was fully committed to Rangers. He bled red, white and blue. But he hasn't died. He is a really decent guy as well, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. And, whenever he was getting interviewed, he spoke so well as well. Just an all-round great guy, great football player. Exactly what you were saying.
Absolutely. Davis would get a testimonial against Northern Ireland or Linfield. That would be nice. Hopefully that'll happen, William, and we'll get that. So we'll get a chance to properly say goodbye to Stephen and thank him for all those fantastic memories. Stuart says Davis is my all-time favourite player and been a legend at this club. 2 European finals. Not many players can say that. Obviously, the final against Zenit St Petersburg 2008, and then the final in Seville. Unfortunately, we did come out on the wrong end of that. And you know what? I remember watching the 2008 game in Manchester, and I remember the night watching in Seville. And I've got to say, guys, I have never, ever watched those games back. Ever. Can't put myself through it. Cannot put myself through it. Lorah, have you ever watched either of those games back?
I've never watched any of them back. No, I haven't.
Although I'd imagine you're probably too young to remember 2008.
Oh no, I remember 2008 because I can remember how desperate I was to go and I couldn't go. I remembering details for the game, no, I don't really remember that, but I remember all the hype and I remember a load of my pals going down and I couldn't go. But aye, amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. And look, he's, like I said, and the other thing that stands out for me, Laura, before we obviously move on to talk about the games from last night and obviously the game on Saturday, is the way as well that he stepped up. You know, he kind of put his rehab to one side. He put himself to one side when Michael Beale was sacked, and he took over the manager's job. And, you know, it was under really difficult circumstances. So, you know, massive credit to him for that as well.
Aye, I mean, like we're saying, it didn't work out great for us, but that was nothing to do with Stephen Davis. You know what happened, but he stepped up and he was great. I loved seeing him there playing that manager's role. I thought it really suited him. I really
Absolutely.
did.
And what was fantastic was, I mean, I know you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but anyone who hasn't had a chance to watch it yet, go in onto Rangers Twitter or onto the Rangers website. No, you don't watch back defeats, but Robert, you don't. Not unless you're a coach, obviously, and you want to see what went wrong. But go back and if you haven't had a chance to go to watch the announcement tonight, Philippe Clement has all the players together and he makes the announcement. And one thing that Philip says for me, which is fantastic, it was the fact that, you know, he says that the door is always open for Stephen. And I think that is hopefully something, I know we were saying off air, Laura, that one day, hopefully he'll be back as a coach at Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a Rangers man through and through. Rangers haven't seen the last of him, I don't think.
Absolutely. And Geordie says, without Davis stepping up, we might never have got McCausland in our first team. Absolutely. And Robert Binney says Davo was different class. And I think, you know, as I said on the video earlier, and I'm sure Laura will echo this, everybody here, we all wish him all the very best for the future and all the luck in the world. He deserves everything, all the best in the world. He's just a superstar for us. Absolute superstar.
He will be a Rangers legend. Always, he's up there. He's always going to be known as a Rangers legend, and he deserves it.
See, one of your friends is here, Laura. I can see in the live chat there. Just brought the comment up.
Oh, Ruby. So Ruby's actually a diehard Celtic fan. So she lives down in England and travels up to watch the Celtic games. So, hi, Ruby.
Guys, be nice. Guys, be nice.
Ruby's young, so be nice.
Craig Riggins says Davis is a legend. He is an absolute legend. Always will be. Now, Laura, the game last night, obviously against Hibernian, everyone was kind of saying it could have been a bit of a banana skin for us. But what were your general thoughts on the game last night?
I was really impressed with Rangers last night. You know, I seen a different team out there. A couple of players I wasn't overly happy with, I'm not going to lie. Matondo being one of them really frustrated me last night. But overall, I think Rangers played really well. We needed that. We need to win these games in hand, and we smashed it last night.
Absolutely, yeah. I was really impressed with the quality of the performance. You know, just the general intensity, the desire, the hunting impacts for the ball, and the fact that, you know, second half, the control we had over that game in the second half was spot on. Yeah, they created the odd chance, but I saw last night, Laura, a real growth in Rangers, a real, I don't know, development, and that in the past would have been a game we could have quite easily gone and dropped a point or dropped to 2 points easily. But Philippe Clement has them so focused and so on it. And one of the things that really impressed me last night, Laura, and guys in the live chat, was, I don't know if you saw, but any time the ball was slightly misplaced or someone didn't chase the ball down or someone didn't, you know, do the right thing, he was proper losing his rag on the sideline. No matter what it was, even when we're 3-0 up, he's still having a go, expecting 100%. He will not let them slack off at all, will he?
Yeah, I noticed that as well. I actually mentioned that during the game last night. I'm like, look at this, we're miles ahead. We are playing well, but a slight mistake, and he's onto them. But that's what we need. I mean, Clement is the real deal. And you can see what he's done to this team. He has made a huge difference to this team. We controlled that entire game. When Hibs get that chance right at the very start, I thought, oh, God, here we go. Butland, fantastic save, as always. But for then on, it was brilliant. We had total control of the game. Almost every player impressed me last night as well.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about some of those players in particular in a moment. 50 people watching, guys. If you can smash the like, that'd be absolutely fantastic. It does help the video to grow. Now, one of the things I want to touch on last night was, before we talk about our individual players, a topic that seems to come up with every game at the moment in Scotland, not just in our games. And although it is apparently all our fault, as we know, the media have this agenda against us, but VAR last night, again, plays a role. And look, I've got to be careful with these comments about VAR, but it is seemingly, for me, before we talk about the actual incidents, Lorah, VAR is ruining this game, isn't it, of ours?
If it was up to me, it would be gone. I know it has worked in our favour sometimes, but not for me. It has to go.
Absolutely,
it is ruining games.
100%. Now, one of the decisions, the first one, Fabio Silva gets the ball off, I can't remember the guy's name, off the Hibs fullback, goes past him. The Hibs fullback falls onto Fabio Silva, brings Fabio Silva down in the penalty box. And the decision, of course, is free kick to Hibernian. Now, Lorah, what was your take on that?
It completely blew my mind. When it went to VAR, I thought, right, well, they're going to see what we've all seen. Going to get a penalty. Free kick to Hibs. How? I don't understand. You can see, the player does kind of start to trip a wee bit. I don't know the Hibs player's name either. But that was a penalty. For me, that was a penalty. And if VAR, they're looking at VAR and say that that's not a penalty, then I don't know what's going on back there.
Absolutely. I mean, when they watched it, and I've watched it back today a couple of times, and I've slowed it down and stuff with some of my software that I've got on the computer. You know what? Silva hardly touches the guy, and it's Hibs player goes completely onto the back of him and brings him down. Mm-hmm. It's a stonewall penalty. I honestly cannot see how that is not given. Now, look, call me Mr. Suspicious, call me Mr. Paranoid, although it isn't us that's paranoid, it is that lot from across the city that have the most paranoia. But it does seem that since the Old Firm game, where they kind of sowed this narrative in the media that Rangers get soft penalties, Rangers get easy penalties, Rangers get given everything. Every penalty is given to Rangers. We don't seem to be getting given anything at all now, Lorah.
And I think when it comes to that lot and the media and all that, I think that is having an effect on the referees. Because we get hardly anything. The penalties we do get are stonewall penalties, but the likes of last night with the Silva incident, that's a penalty. And then I'm thinking, are the refs now holding back on what they're giving us because of this big hype that Rangers get everything? I don't know. That might be a bit of a conspiracy theory. I don't know, but that's how I feel about it.
Absolutely. William says he was falling before Silva even went near him, which is true.
Yep.
William says Clement should have brought it up. He didn't, obviously. They never even showed it on Sports Scene, which is interesting indeed. I have a free kick to Hibs. The referee was blind last night, says Stuart. And CGM says Silva put his hand on him and he went down extremely soft. It is very strange. And, I think Michael Stewart was another one who kind of continued this narrative on a little bit, with the whole VAR and officials been afraid to do things because of the trouble that Rangers have kicked up over it. Now, the second incident that I want to talk about was the Tom Lawrence goal. Now, Lorah, I mean, look, way back, right? When you're in reception at school, one of the things they teach you to do is to draw straight lines. Now, it seems to me that the VAR people can't even draw straight lines anymore.
If you look at that red line next to the box, the line's off.
Yeah, there's a big gap at this bit near the Hibs guy, and then it curves into the edge of the Hibs.
I mean, maybe you could argue it's the angle of the pitch, but it's not. For me, like, he is on this line here that they're showing, he's slightly, very, very slightly offside. But if that was a straight line, he's not offside.
Absolutely. And it took, I don't know how long it took, but it seemed to take forever as well for them to actually make that decision.
I felt like I'm sitting for ages waiting in this decision.
But no way should that goal have been disallowed. And I think Philippe Clement was even kind of dropping that suggestion as well in his post-match interview when he said about we scored 3 goals and we should have scored 4 goals, kind of saying that he felt it was a goal. And yeah. I honestly don't know how that was not given as a goal last night, Lorah.
No, I'm the same. And, see, when Lawrence scored, I thought, fantastic. there at the weekend. We had 4 goals, 4 different goal scorers. We've done it the night again. 4 goals, 4 different goal scorers. Brilliant. And just as I said that, goal disallowed. And then they put that line up, and I'm like, it's not straight. It's not a straight line. But
I know. Stuart says 100%. We need a goal scorer, Owen and mate, or I don't think we win the league. We will touch on that shot in a bit. Penalty to Rangers is like poetry to my ears, especially on Burns night. Yes, of course. Happy Burns night to everyone in Scotland tonight. It is Burns night apparently. To be fair, McLean, he gave something similar for a push on Ridvan a few minutes later. It was funny they still checked for a handball from Suter from the same incident. I think it was actually Balogun they checked it from.
Balogun was, and it hit Balogun's chest here.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't it worry, troops? I'm in our next VAR room with my 6-foot spirit level, says Stephen. VAR ruins games, but it also adds more minutes onto games as well, which I think, is obviously a concern. But you never actually get back all the time that's given away in these incidents. I know from refereeing, it never happens. Now, we obviously we talked about certain players, Lorah. You mentioned certain players that impressed, certain players that didn't impress last night. But if we sort of concentrate on players that really did impress last night, well, certainly impressed me last night. First one I want to talk about last night was Ridvan. And, he's had a run of games, and he for me, has been really impressive. And I thought last night his performance was absolutely first class. And that finish was just unbelievable, was delightful. Lorah, not for sale under any circumstances. And tell me a little bit about what your thoughts on Ridvan.
I mean, his goal was, honestly, it was fantastic. A brilliant finish. If Barisic was there, Barisic wouldn't have scored. He had to pass that back to somebody. So, if I have to choose between the two of them, and I'm a Barisic fan, Ridvan, he deserves his place there, absolutely. He really impressed me last night. He did, and I do feel he's a much better player than Barisic. But could he be replaced? I think so. I still think Rangers could find better. But I'm happy for where he is now. And he was so happy with that goal. You could see the passion in him, and you need that for players. You need a bit of passion. But he controlled the ball well last night. He done really well. And what that goal I watched, I don't know how many times I've watched it, but it was really, really good to watch.
Absolutely. It was a fantastic finish. William makes an interesting observation, and we are going to talk transfer window in a bit. Says, do you think the new boy isn't been revealed tonight in case it takes the limelight off Davis? That could be a possibility. Thank you so much to Derek as well. 9.99 super chat says, I was going to buy lottery tickets, but you can have it instead, mate. Thank you very much, Derek. That's very kind of you. Thank you for that. It's brilliant. Geordie says, Ridvan shouldn't be going anywhere. Stephen says, Ridvan's got to stay or you need 10 million. Owen, Robert Burns was the Freemason in the Mother Lodge in Kilwing, by the way. Oh, God, let's not get into Masonic conspiracies, please. Ridvan is beginning to show his quality. He is, Ridvan for me is looking a really, really good player. He's looking different class, and I think it's now he's had that little run in the team. He's got his fitness up, but I think you're right, Lorah. There is still talk about the fact that he could still be sold. He is kind of seen as our one saleable asset. Now, if a bid of, say, 5-6 million comes in, do you think the club will take it? Or do you think now that they would see that the clamour from fans would be so much that they just wouldn't dare take that money?
Sorry, it broke up a wee bit there, but I think I did catch what you said anyway.
Basically,
I don't think 5-6 million would be enough for him. I think if we were going to replace him, like one of the commenters said there, we were going to need a good 10 million. And would I sell Ridvan for 5 million? No, I wouldn't.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's worth a lot more than that, and I think every player has his price. I mean, let's obviously get that clear. I mean, even the top players in world football have their price, don't they? And it's only clubs that are absolutely, your Manchester Cities, your Liverpools, your Real Madrids who've got unending budgets who have players that they won't sell because they just don't need to. But everybody has their price at the end of the day. And I think, if a bid of 10 million or 8 to 10 million came in for Ridvan, I think the club would seriously have to look at it. Definitely. Stuart says, typically if Rangers would to sell Ridvan just as he's coming onto his game. CGM55 says, Borna Barisic to Roma was the chat I saw yesterday. Will be surprised, but he needs to go now, or it's another player leaving for nothing in the summer. There was a few jokes about that online. Actually, CJ Novo was offering to drive him there. I think for free. I think the other day, which was quite interesting. The other player, one player that look, Lorah, I've criticised this guy in the past, massively. But John Lundstrom last night, I thought, was absolutely first class again, and that pass for Ridvan, the little lobbed pass over the top. I mean, it was almost worth a goal. It was just amazing. I thought Lunny last night has just continued on what we've seen from him since Big Phil's come in. He was absolute quality last night.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, his assist was just as good as the goal. It was fantastic. I mean, then he got man of the match at the weekend and again last night, and he deserved the both of them. He absolutely was man of the match last night and at the weekend. Fully deserved. I also noticed the fans sung his song last night, and that's the first time I've heard Lundstrom's song getting sang for a long time. Fully deserved. You know what? I really, really like him. And I mean, we've seen how good he was in the run up to the Europa League. So that player's there, and he's definitely coming back. He's up there now with one of my favourite players. I think we need to give Lundstrom a new contract, and it has to stay.
I agree. I mean, look, you guys know, live chat, that in the past I've slaughtered him. I mean, under Beale, he wasn't good. Well, I think most of the team weren't good, to be honest with you. But he's been fantastic since Big Phil has come in. And look, I know what the risk is. I know what you guys might say, or some people might say that he's only playing well because he wants a new contract. But I don't honestly think that's the case with him. Listening to how he's talking about his relationship with Philippe Clement, listening to the respect that Philippe Clement has for him as well. Philippe's talked about him being a leader on the field, a leader off the field. There is a genuine mutual respect there, and he's driving the team forward. He's covering the back. He's bringing the ball forward. He's been all action, box to box. He's doing everything. He's almost doing two players' jobs at times, and I've been so impressed with him. Just the way he's acquitted himself, and I agree 100% with what Lorah said. That he does deserve a new contract. He has been absolutely superb since Philippe Clement has come in. Blue Nose John, one of our top contributors, says, how many millions did Jack Butland put on his transfer price last night? Lorah, what do you think?
Say that again. How many millions did Jack Butland put on last night?
Yeah, on his price tag, on his personal price tag.
All right, okay. Oh, he's up there in the tens, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Do you know one thing, Lorah, is Andre Onana, who went to Manchester United in the summer, went for £47 million, and we know how bad he is. So if Onana's worth 47 million, how much is Jack Butland worth?
I mean, it sounds crazy to say that anybody that plays for Rangers is worth 47 million, but I mean, Jack Butland, he's world class. His saves are outstanding. I mean, if we were to sell any, he would probably be we would get the most money for him out of all our players, I reckon. Easy.
I agree. He is worth an absolute fortune. And look, I know you've obviously got the fact that he plays in Scotland, so and Onana is going from a top Italian club to the EPL, and the EPL have just ludicrous amounts of money. I understand that, but he for me, you'd be looking at something north of 30 million for him, because world-class goalkeepers are worth a fortune. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head what Alisson went to Liverpool for, but I'm sure it was somewhere around the 35-40 million mark. These top goalkeepers are worth their weight in gold, and this guy is different class. I mean, he just is. For me, he's the best keeper in Britain at this moment in time. He's better than Pickford. He's better than Pope. He's better than Ramsdale. He's better than any of the England goalkeepers. So for me, he's in. One thing that really impresses me, Lorah, as well, is that he can be doing nothing for like 60, 70 minutes. But when he's called upon, he will pull off an absolute worldie. And that, for me, is one of the hardest skills when you've got to concentrate and focus and do. You stood there for 60 minutes doing nothing, but then you called on for that 1 minute, and that's the skill that he has. It's different class.
Oh, completely. And the confidence you have when he's in goals, a team, they're breaking through, they're coming down. You've got so much confidence that he is going to pull off a cracking save. What would you do with Butland? Would you take the 30+ million or would you keep him? For me, I would keep him, but I don't get the 30 million, so it's easy for me to say that. It's easy for a fan to say that. But Rangers, what do you think Rangers would do? Would they take 30+ million for him or keep him?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll kind of. This was kind of. It was touched on. I think was it Rangers review either yesterday or today. It was yesterday because I didn't watch it today. But I think if someone came in with 25-30 million pound, I think the board would seriously have to look at it because, I mean, if you think about a 30 million pound investment, what could we do with 30 million pound? Yeah, William says. Of course they would take it. Stuart wants 100 million for Butland. Stuart, we lovely, but I can't see anyone paying that. But yeah, if someone did come on with 30-35 million, I think you'd have to look at it. You really would, because I mean, realistically, looking at the markets we shop in, 30 million pounds, you could buy 5-6 quality players for that, or 3 or 4 quality players. And look, Robbie McCrory's not world class, but he's not shabby. He's decent enough. He could come in and cover until we got under the keeper or we decided to run with him. I don't know. But for me, yeah, I would hang on to Butland for as long as we can because the lad is just different class. He really is different class. And we know he loves it here. He loves his song. He loves the fact that he's playing week in, week out. He loves playing in Europe. He is different class, Jack Butland. Absolute different class. Mm-hmm. Now, Lorah, this is good. This might upset you, and I apologise because I know he's one of your favourites. Lorah, did the defence look better or worse last night without Connor Goldson?
Right. Okay. Our defence looked brilliant last night. Our defence were brilliant last night. I've not said that for a long time. Do I think it's because Goldson wasn't there? No, I don't. I think the full team just put on an absolutely spectacular show last night. But I mean, Suter was great. The defence was great, but I don't think it's because Goldson wasn't there. And of course, I'm going to say that because I'm always going to defend him.
Absolutely. One of Laura's favourites, Connor Goldson there. Look, I mean, Connor's a good defender, don't get me wrong, but part of me thinks, as someone who's coached in the past, and I'm nowhere near a high level like Rangers, I get that, guys. I'm not pretending that I'm Philippe Clement or anywhere near that level. I'm nowhere near that level, but you don't tend to mess around with a back four when you don't concede a goal and you play as well as that. You don't tend to change your back four. It's not a done thing. You don't fiddle with it. And Suter did very well last night. I know he has his off games. I know he has his times when he can be a bit off it. But I mean, I thought Tav was actually better in defence last night than going forward. I thought he offered more in defence than he did going forward. Ridvan, I thought, was fantastic. And Lorah, one player who really stood out for me last night, and I should have put him on the man of the match vote, was Big Leon. I thought Leon was just absolutely immense last night.
He was brilliant. It was so good to watch. I love Balogun playing there. I do, and I know he's getting to that age now, but he really stood out for me last night as well. He really did.
Absolutely. I thought he's just been immense all season. I think he's going to leave us with a very difficult question at the end of the season. Do we give him another year? He is 35 years old. Personally, I would give him another year's contract as long as it's under the understanding that, look, Leon, we're going to bring in another centre half. You're probably not going to start as many games. You're just here for cover, but you are going to be, you will get games now and again, because I think he has been absolutely immense, and I think he's more than deserved an opportunity for at least another 1 year next season, Lorah.
No, I completely agree with that. Another year, because he is getting older, so you kind of have to keep it to a year. And you're not going to get 90 minutes out of him every game. I would like to see a younger, fitter, faster defender in there, but I would still like to see Balogun come on and have his game. So I think we could get another year out of him, but like you're saying, super sub potentially.
Absolutely. Yeah, Stephen says here, Suter was classy last night, but he needs more games on the right for me. He is a right-sided defender, I think, and that is where we looked better last night. And that's the reason why. I think why he's made mistakes this year, when he has made mistakes, it's when he's been playing on the left side of defence, which, is not his thing. He's not a left-sided defender. He's not left-footed. He is very much right-footed. Mm-hmm. If he was a player who could play with both feet, Suter, I very much doubt that, we'd probably still have him. He probably would have been transferred for an awful lot of money by now, because he would have that confidence to play left side. Robert makes a good point here. The problem with player value is Scotland is a backwater for football, which keeps the price down. I did read earlier in the comments as well. Someone made a good point. If Butland was playing for England, that would change that. I think that would definitely change that. And I think he does deserve his England place back. And Craig makes a good point about going back to our Jack Butland discussion. Butland not only has the composure and leadership with great handling, his footwork with both feet are exceptional. He has better feet than some of our centre-backs, massively important in today's game. Absolutely. King of Kings says, I mean, someone asked about a Catholic to sub. This backwards hateful crap he's calling out, mate. No place in staying. Absolutely, guys. Look, if you're a Rangers fan, I don't care if you are Catholic, Protestant, Muslim, Jewish, Sikh, Hindu, you're an atheist, you're an agnostic. If you love Rangers, if you follow Rangers, it does not matter what gender you are, what sexuality you are, what religion you are. None of those things matter, guys. None of those things matter at all. I'm sure you would agree on that one, Lorah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my cousins are Catholic and they're all diehard Rangers fans. You know, they went to a Catholic school, diehard Rangers fans. I don't think any less of them is being fans because they're Catholic. And same with players. You know, you get a lot of, you know, religious players and everything. It means nothing to me.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And I mean, look, I'm not Catholic myself. I was Church of England, Protestant, and all that. I don't even want to talk about religion, but just to clear this up, both my girls are Catholic. My ex-wife is Catholic. Both my girls were baptized Catholic. My oldest daughter is a Rangers fan. You know, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what religion you are. At the end of the day, the only religion that really matters on a Saturday or a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Sunday or a Tuesday, whatever day it's played, is that religion there, isn't it, Lorah?
Oh, wrong side. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, like, getting back to last night's game, Lorah, you know, and I think, like I said, everyone welcome here. Cyriel Dessers comes on and scores a goal. Now, look, guys, I want to clear something up, right? I have been hammering Cyriel Dessers, and I have hammered him, right? I don't hate the guy. I don't hate him. And look, I would love him to score hundreds of goals for Rangers, because if he's doing well, then it means Rangers are doing well. That's the key thing for me. CGM, that's an awful comment. But Lorah, Cyriel Dessers last night comes on and scores a good goal, isn't it?
It's a great goal. You know, it's a clever goal. I did not think he was even attempting to score, and you know, great wee clever goal. That's the thing with him. He does score these great goals, but for me, it doesn't make up for the kind of player he is. He's just no good enough. That's my opinion anyway. But last night's goal, credit where it's due, but it's still a no for me.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. 100%. Stephen says he's got a Chinese, a mental Chinese wife, and he still supports Rangers. Stephen, I hope your wife hasn't read that comment. Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. Like I said, it does not matter. My partner is Asian. It doesn't matter. It does not matter where people are from. So look, yeah, getting back to Cyriel Dessers. Yeah, it was a great finish. But then, Lorah, a few minutes later, he's through 1-on-1 on the goalkeeper, and he smashes it straight at the goalkeeper. I think we see in a little nutshell there, don't we? Just pure Cyriel Dessers. 1 minute world beater, next minute carpet beater. A little bit Sakala-esque, maybe?
Yes, very much so. And you know, there was a song for Sakala and it fits Dessers perfectly. There's a few swear words in there, so we'll not sing it. But you just don't know what you're going to get with him. He scores this amazing goal, and then, like you're saying, bangs it straight at the keeper next time. All the easy stuff is so rubbish. It just can't. For me, just can't gel into a Rangers player for me. And I was starting to actually like him, and I thought we're going to get a great player out of him, but he's let me back down again. And I'm sorry, it's a thumbs down for me for Dessers.
CGM says, not sure if anyone was surprised by Dessers' goal or the fact he missed that chance later on. That's the problem. It's hit or miss with him. Stuart says, Dessers will score goals, but still need better than one goal every 5 chances. I never know with Dessers when he's hitting a shot. And his goal v Betis was brilliant, says the Blue Baron. Juicy Bear Gaming says, all strikers are like that. Look at Morelos. He was born offside and always fluffing his lines, but he still bagged plenty in the early days. I mean, I think Dessers, you know, isn't, for me, and looking at it today, looking at those goals, going back and looking at some of his Feyenoord stuff, as well. He's better off the bench anyway. He's not starting quality because he just does not take his chances enough. The Celtic games, the Celtic game where he's through on goal, he takes about 600 million touches and then gets tackled. For me, he just isn't starting quality. He will score goals, don't get me wrong. But for me, he's probably more effective coming off the bench if we're going to retain him.
I totally agree with that. For me, he's not in the starting 11 team. The amount of chances he misses, it takes over the goals that he scores for me. He's no score. If he was scoring more goals and still playing pretty crap, you would let him away with it. Like somebody mentioned, Morelos. Morelos wasn't the best player, but he scored loads of goals, so you get away with it. But Dessers isn't scoring loads of goals. He's sometimes scoring goals, and when he does, they're good goals. I'll give him that, but he's no scoring enough.
Yeah. Robert Biddy says, if Messi scored that goal, what would you be saying? Rob, I mean, it was a good. Robert, look, we're not saying it wasn't a great goal. We're just saying that he doesn't take his chances enough. The Dumbarton game, he had 5 shots, he scores 1. 2 of the shots, NASA are still looking for the ball, apparently. It is, that's Dessers all over. He is very much hit and miss, completely hit and miss. Mez Smith, who I was a big fan of Cyriel Dessers, I did ask him last night if he was Cyriel Dessers' agent. My boy Dessers could be a super sub. Look, when he played for Feyenoord, he was more effective coming off the bench. That's where he got his goals in the Europa Conference League, or whatever it's called, that Conference League. That for me is that. And I think Stevie made a great point on the Four Lads on a tweet this morning. He said, look, Dessers will be assessed on his goals in big games when it actually matters and against them. And until he actually does it against them, when the one chance falls to him and he takes that chance, and then perhaps all will be forgiven and we'll see that he's good enough. But until that happens, he's always going to have those question marks hanging over his head. And, John, the Betis goal was absolutely brilliant. McCoist's first year was horrible. Look how he turned out. Look, I'm hearing this all the time. McCoist, Hateley, for example, comparisons. They didn't start their Rangers careers well, but there was just something about those two that they had a little bit of something about them that I don't see in Dessers. I honestly don't know. And Stephen Gillespie says here, Dessers will outscore Alfie every year on year. Apparently, he came onto his game in the second half of the season. Watch this space. 25 plus this year. Stephen, he might well outscore Alfie. And look, this might seem sacrilege, but Alfie never actually scored 20 goals in a league season for Rangers in his whole career with us. Ever. Mm-hmm. And for me, though, Lorah, it wasn't just the goals of Morelos. It was his all-round play with Morelos, his ability to hold the ball up, his ability to bully defenders, his, that little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of the devil in him at times that kind of turned games. And for me, Morelos, he was more an all-round player than just a goal scorer.
It was. He was an all-rounder. Like I say, it wasn't ever Rangers' best player, but he was a really good player. And he was strong up there. He did mess about with the defenders up there, and he scored good goals. But he was an all-rounder, whereas Dessers hasn't got that. Other than the few really good goals that he scored, and again, I'm giving him credit for the goals that he scored because they have been really good. Other than them, for me, there's nothing there. There's no much talent there for me at all. Whereas Morelos, he was a talented player. He'd done a lot for the team.
Absolutely. I'll get to Stephen's comment. I'm sorry, I've just read Stephen's comment before I got to CJ. I'm not laughing at your comment. I'm laughing at what Stephen's written below you. I will get to that in a minute. CJ says he would start Dessers on Saturday against St Mirren. We are going to touch on the St Mirren. William's point here that Morelos could work a back four by himself. With Dessers, he does score some great goals. Don't get me wrong, and all of you, obviously, and I know there's a whole split, and he does score some great goals. The Betis goal, the goal last night, but it's just, again, his all-round play is not there. He's offside too many times. He doesn't hold the ball up very well. His heading technique is poor. He just doesn't have an all-round game for me, and that's why. Look, I'm not saying that he's crap. What I am saying is, though, that he's more. For me, he's a bench player, someone to come off the bench and impact, not to start a game. at all. Sorry, guys, I've got to bring this up. I mean, I know it's not about football, but that's what made me laugh. That comment there that Stephen wrote. So, wife thinks he's an arsehole. I'm no so sure. She's currently doing some kind of dance.
Lorah, can you imagine to meet his wife?
I know, Stephen. When we're up in Glasgow, we need to meet your missus. She sounds an absolute laugh, buddy. She sounds hilarious.
You'll need to upload a video of this dance.
There's a big debate going on with Dessers here. Dessers is finding his feet and will come good. I predict 20 goals from this season. If all our strikers do that, we win the league. Alfie was horrific one-on-one, yet is universally loved. Yeah, I mean, Alfie, I'm not saying Alfie was the perfect striker. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is that his all-round game was better. Dessers still has some weaknesses in his game. Dessers actually has quite decent movement. He played that past McCausland against Kilmarnock. He has the ability, but I think we need better. Ian says, let's cut to chase. Dessers is a dud. He's not Rangers class. Blue Baron says, we're so light up front. It's unreal. And God says, sorry, but Dessers is not for me. To compare him to Super Ali is a comment too far. Lorah, moving away from obviously last night's game, which, was a great result overall. And it's brilliant. Their lead's down to 5 points. We've got that game in hand now. And we'll obviously we'll mention about the St Mirren game coming up in a moment. But the January transfer window is still ongoing. There are 6-7 days left of this window, Lorah. Are you starting to worry a little bit?
I am. I know we've got this new player. Sorry, what's his name?
Diamande.
I was saying Diamande. Other than that, I mean, are we bringing anybody in? I'm not even seeing rumours. Other people. To me, it looks like we're just having these two signings and that's it. Because I've been looking, to see if there is any rumours or doesn't seem to be in. But Clement does hold his cards close to his chest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've still got the Dessers debate going on. I think the thing, like I said with Dessers, I think as well, someone made a good point here. Football is changing. Robert says here, what we need to remember is the game of football is always changing. I think there is a change to that. And I don't think that Clement particularly wants an out-and-out poacher up there, which Dessers kind of is meant to be. I think he wants a more all-round player, hence why he's kind of starting Fabio Silva. Yeah, I agree with you, Lorah. I'll tell you, most of the day, when I'm not actually doing work or doing anything else, what I'm doing is constantly this flicking Fabrizio Romano on X, trying to find out. Come on, Fabrizio, find something for Rangers. And nothing is happening, and it's worrying. It certainly is worrying, and I understand that the club are working on things. I hear what Philippe's saying. I trust Philippe. I trust Niels Koppen. I trust them to get this right. Diamande looks a very talented player. Looks a very, very talented player. He looks someone who can make a real difference to this team. And he looks certainly someone who is a PSV-esque signing, a Koppen-esque signing, someone who can come in, play a number of positions like the modern players that we're signing can. He is an attacking midfield player. He can play in central midfield. He can play wing. He does look a real diamond in the rough, someone who I think can have an effect for us in the long run. Now, Lorah, one of the players that could be slightly concerned with Diamande coming in, and you know what, guys, I've had absolute pelters for this on X today. Do you think Todd Cantwell could be slightly worried about his place if Diamande is as good as people say in this attacking midfield role, Lorah?
With him having the ability to play in so many different positions, I think there might be a few players a wee bit worried, but Cantwell was who I had in mind as well. And we probably will get a bit of stick for this because a lot of people still love him, but he's slit him a wee bit. And I think if this Diamande was coming in, to me, it probably would be to replace Cantwell. And I'll get a wee bit of stick for that probably, but that's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, he can play, like I said, he can play in a position. He can play wide. He can play central midfield. He can play as that 8 role. He can play as a 10 role. Look, I love Todd Cantwell, don't get me wrong. I think Todd's a great player. I do. I just think this season his standards have slipped. And what I got pelters for on X today was the fact that I talked about that, yes, he scored a brilliant goal yesterday. It was a worldie. It was a fantastic goal yesterday. Don't get me wrong, with an assist from Wee Ross. But other than that, he did absolutely nothing in that game. And I even made a joke on my stream last night Lorah, saying that could someone please phone Edinburgh Police because Todd Cantwell's gone missing. I don't know. Am I being unfair there, Lorah, about his performance last night?
No, I don't think you'd been unfair at all. Again, I credit where it's due. His goal was phenomenal, but it wasn't there for much of the game. He didn't do much. Anyway, when Cantwell first came in, we seen this amazing player, and I thought, my God, he's going to be Rangers' best player. And it's just not quite there for me yet. And listen, he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I feel like I expect more from him, and it didn't really show up last night, other than his goal.
Absolutely. And I think, like there's the odd link there, like like Blue Nose John says here. Romano has linked Rangers with a 22-year-old player from Ajax. That's a left back who I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, he has linked with him. Stephen says Coppen got a week to make his name with the support. What's the ideal number of players in this window? 5 for me. That's included the 2 in already. Wow, Stephen, that's going to be going some. Hopefully Zach Lovelace can come back and help with the striker problem. He is a very, very good player. Absolutely. CGM says Raskin should be more worried than Cantwell. He has Sterling and Diamande pushing him. I assume Cifuentes is on his way out too. Lorah, just one quick one about again about last night. Dujon Sterling came on second half. I thought he was absolutely brilliant again. Dujon Sterling.
He played brilliant. He showed us the talent that he's got. He deserved to come on last night, and he's a really strong player. You feel confident when he's got the ball. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Sterling. Has he got a place in the team? Don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, he is really good now. I think, he's come on loads. And to think that it's kind of by chance that he's got this chance in central midfield. If we hadn't had the injuries to Jack, Raskin, Dowell, Lawrence, he probably might never have got his opportunity to play there. And it's kind of a blessing. And, big praise to Philippe Clement for thinking outside the box and putting him in there. And to me, he looks like the all-round combative central defensive midfielder, like a N'Golo Kante, like a Claude Makelele, that sort of player who can just sit in front of the back four, smash things out, but has excellent distribution. And one of the things that I was so impressed with Lorah last night was he kind of he doesn't just tackle people, he kind of goes through them as well when he takes the ball off them.
He's a big, strong player. He is.
Absolutely. Now, one of the big things, obviously, we keep hearing, and it's guys you bring it up in the live chats. So I've got to mention it. Robert, that would be amazing, but I don't think we can afford over £100 million. Strikers, Lorah. Everyone is saying we need to sign a striker. We need to sign a striker. I mean, that's a given. We do need to sign a striker. We need an out-and-out number 9. Do you think we need to kind of move on from Lawrence Shankland in these last 5 days? Do you think that ship has sailed, or do you think there's still a chance that he might still sneak in?
It's a hard one. We absolutely have to sign a striker. We need a striker that we know is going to come in and score goals every game. We need to feel confident in our strikers, and right now we don't have any that we're confident in. Shankland, I do feel like the ship is sailing with him now, but I still think there's a small chance, maybe pop up, because for what I believe, he wants to come to us and we want him, and I think he would fit into Rangers perfectly. He's a Rangers fan as well. You always get that bit of passion, but with how badly Rangers need a striker, he's sitting right there. Let's just sign him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I'd love Lawrence Shankland to come in. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not dismissing it, and I'm not saying that it's a bad idea. I'm just kind of thinking now, I don't know, I've kind of got this worry that it's not going to happen, because I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now, because, they're going to want to replace him. Even if we give them £3, £4, £5 million for him, they're going to want to spend that and bring someone else in. The closer it gets to the end of the window, the less chance they've got to replace him. To me, that is the worrying thing with Lawrence. And we do, look, guys, I hear you all in the live chat, and you've been saying this on all my podcasts and on comments on my videos, which are fun. I love reading your comments, guys. But yeah, Shankland would be fantastic. I'd love him in. We do need a striker. We 100% need a striker. I'm just hoping that Niels Coppen has got something up his sleeve. Has got somebody in line to come in before the window closes. I genuinely hope that, nothing against the boy, because I think he's a good player, but I hope that Fabio Silva is not the player. That's not their striker that they've signed. I mean, I don't know about you, Lorah, but Silva doesn't seem like an out-and-out striker to me.
I'm the exact same. That he can't be our striker that we've signed in this window. He can't be. We need a big striker to come in, a big name, doesn't it? A massive name. For me, it isn't Fabio Silva. And if that is our striker that we're bringing in this window, then what the fuck's going on, really?
Absolutely. I mean, I know people have talked about it not fitting the model, and yeah, hopefully, he has got a plan B and a plan C, and I'm sure he has, because he's a very bright man, Niels Coppen, even though he does look slightly like a cross between Ange and Nicholas Raskin. But look, we do need a striker. We do need to spend some money on a striker. And you're right, absolutely right here. Stephen says Shankland is not the only striker on the planet. Now, he did make a really good point, Philippe Clement, the other day, and hopefully, when people listening to this, when he said that, when we're making these decisions, we've got to make decisions about, well, when we sign players, are we signing assets for the future that we can sell? Or are we signing players that are for the next 6 months or the next year? And to me, it sounded like there's a bit of both going on within the boardroom at the moment and within the football board, that it's not just young players. It is more experienced players they are looking at as well. And they understand that this trading model can only really work for the team if you get some young players who you can develop and sell, but you also get some experienced players to come in as well. Because if you just sign kids, you're going to win nothing. You've got to have some experience in that team. That for me is an essential. I mean, Lorah, what do you think?
I mean, Clement's here to win the league this season. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to do that by, like you're saying, just signing young players for future money. You need a balance. You need these young players, their fitness, their passion to make their way into the team and things like that. But you absolutely need the experience. And I know Shankland isn't young, and I know if we did have him, he's not going to be here too long. But we need players to help the team right now. For me, anyway, no young players to make money off in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, there's a little bit as well of the fact you speculate to accumulate, and I think at the end of the day, if we were to come in and sign Shankland, and he was to score 15, 20 goals in the second half of the season and win us the league, then you get Champions League football, which gets you about £20 million. You perhaps he fires you on another stage in the Europa League, that's another couple of £1 million. But he's more than paid for himself there. And that's going to bring 22, 25 million pound in. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, isn't it? Progressing, winning competitions, getting money. And like Jody says, win the league, and Shankland's paid for himself. That's the thing. Get the money in, other than just by selling players. That's a point. Mez Smith says Silva's more like a number 10. Absolutely, it is. Yeah, 100%. Now, look, we're going to St Mirren on Saturday. St Mirren, look, do you think this is going to be tougher than Hibs on Saturday, or the same? What's your opinion, Lorah, on the game on Saturday?
I mean, if you had asked me this before we had played Hibs, who do you think is going to be the harder team, St Mirren away or Hibs away? I would probably say Hibs away. But last night was an absolute breeze. I mean, St Mirren, it's never going to be an easy game, and you can never call it, but I'm confident enough that we're going to get in there and we're going to win.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, they and I don't like talking about them, but they went there and won quite easily. I know that St Mirren got a player sent off, but they'd already scored three goals in that game by the time that player was sent off, that lot from across the city. Look, at the end of the day, I do think that it is going to be a tough game. Don't get me wrong. They will be bang up for it, as every team are bang up for it against Rangers. Let's face it. Whichever team plays Rangers, they treat as their cup final, because look, Lorah, everyone hates us. We don't care. That's just the way it is, isn't it?
We don't care. That's just how it is. And they all show up with us. I'm not saying, they all lie down to Celtic and show up to us. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about Celtic. But these teams do show up to us. They give us a game. And, like I'm saying, it's never going to be easy. St Mirren away, it's no saying we're going to get in there and win 5-6-0. But confident enough to say that we'll go and we'll win.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we should have more than enough to go there and actually beat them. And the players we've got are talented enough to do St Mirren damage. This St Mirren team are not great. They're not a fantastic team. And one thing that I don't know about you, Lorah, but I really do think that, Philippe Clement is trying to get this back into us, and he's trying to get this instilled back into us. But we need to start going places and remembering that we are Rangers. And this might sound really arrogant. We are Rangers, and it shouldn't matter who we're playing in Scotland. It should be a case of we go there, we expect to win, we expect to smash them, and it's how many goals are we going to get? That's the philosophy we should be going into games with.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are one of the biggest teams in Scotland, and that is the mentality that you have to have, and that's the mentality I do have. Every game we go into, I'm maybe not massively overconfident, but I always think we're going to get in here, we're going to win. Now I'm not expecting the 5-6-0 just because we don't have a massive striker now. But like last night in the weekend showed us, don't necessarily need one, because 4 goals, 4 different goal scorers last night. Again, if we include Lawrence's goal, it was another 4 different goal scorers. So, aye, we will. We'll smash it. 3 points down the road.
Absolutely. And look, I think, like I said, I know we need to get back. And look, when I started following Rangers back in the day, Graham Soon has been the manager. That was the mentality that he went into every game with, wasn't he? That we go there and we win, and it's about us. It's not about them. It's not about what they do. It's not about how they play. It's not about how they set up. It's about how we play. It's about how we set up. It's about how we impose ourselves on the game. And that was Soon as his philosophy. That was Walter Smith's philosophy. That was Dick Advocaat's philosophy, Big X's philosophy. And I think, when Rangers are successful, they have that swagger about them, that little bit of arrogance. And look, as well as I do, Laura, I hate saying anything positive about them. But one thing about Ange Postecoglou's Celtic was that whenever they went anywhere, they expected to win, and they expected to smash the opposition, and they expected to just steamroller them. We need to have that same attitude. And I think Philippe Clement is trying to get that. And I think he's being successful in doing it, instilling that into our team, making them a machine.
Absolutely. I mean, the professionalism that you get for Clement, I've not seen that for a while. And managers with Rangers, and you can see he's making a huge difference. And winning games the way we have been recently, it's going to build up the confidence, and it is going to have us going into every game with the mentality that we're here to smash this game and we're going to win. And we'll get there. We dropped a wee bit of confidence, the Old Firm, that always drops you a wee bit of confidence. And then there was the big gap, bearing in mind with some games in hand. But we've won this one, we're closing the gap, we're getting closer. I feel like we need to be a bit more positive.
Absolutely, 100%. And look, St Mirren are 5th in the table. Their last 3 home games, just looking now, they lost 3-0 to that lot. They lost 1-0 to Kilmarnock, and they drew 0-0 with Motherwell in their last 3 home games. Their home form is not great. They're great. The only reason they're 5th as well is because they had a really good start to the season. They have slipped away. Yes, they beat the Sheep 3-0, but that's no great achievement. I mean, St Johnstone should have beaten them last night, but for a dodgy refereeing decision. But Sharpie, the draw hasn't been made yet, mate. It's not made till mid-February because of the fact that we've skipped the next qualifying round because we won the group. So we don't know who we've got in the next round in the Europe yet. But yeah, definitely we've got to get that winning mentality back. What changes, if any, would you make to the starting 11 for the next game against St Mirren on Saturday? And Laura, I will let you put Connor back in if you want to.
I pretty much send out the same team. I'm obviously going to put Goldson back in, which is a bit of a shame because Suter did play well, but that's just how I am. If I could replace Matondo with my 6-year-old son, I would. But there's no really anybody. I mean, I'm sorry, but he was absolutely god-awful yesterday. I don't think there is anybody to replace him with at the moment, though, if I'm right.
You are right, yeah. That's the one worrying thing, isn't it? You're right, Laura. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about Matondo. Matondo, even if we go back to Dumbarton, for me, he flashes at times and he'll get past players, but it's his end product, Laura, is just absolutely shocking at the moment.
I know, and he's so fast. He's got the pace. This rapid wee guy, and I don't know if it's just, he's not got much game time. I'll give him that. But for me, his performance last night was so poor. And if we could replace him with somebody, then I would. But I'm trying to think back at the bench and the injuries and everything, and I don't think we can replace him now.
No.
Other than that, I'm more than happy with the team. Raskin, he was a wee bit rusty, but again, he's not had much game time. I love seeing Jack play away Lundstrom. I'm sure Jack will come off the bench at some point.
Absolutely. I think personally, I think that maybe Sterling for Raskin, if Raskin is not 100% fit, he did go off with a foot problem apparently last night, but apparently him and Cantwell were just taken off precautionary. The one change I would like to see Philippe Clement make, and I would love to be able to take Matondo off, but short of swapping McCausland onto the left, but then you've got the issue of who do you put on the right. You don't want to put Lawrence out wide right because he's not really a winger. You don't want to particularly play Scott Wright because he's not great. So, you're kind of stuck with McCausland and Matondo at the moment. But I would like to see Tom Lawrence perhaps starting the 10 role on Saturday. I just think that he's got back into fitness now. He does things that Cantwell doesn't do. I think, he's got a bit more of an eye for a pass. He has got a decent shot on him. He's a better all-round player for me than Cantwell, and he's a bit more a team player. Nothing against Cantwell. Look, I love Cantwell. Before I get slaughtered, I love Cantwell. I think he's great, and I love his attitude towards that lot, and I love that. But I just think at the moment he is not playing well, and it may be that he needs a kick up the backside of being taken out of the team, seeing Lawrence go out there and play better than him. And Lawrence may get injured again, like he always does. But I just think Cantwell needs something to try and knock him back into form.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He's a fantastic player and I love him. I love watching his TikTok videos. I think he's brilliant. He's just slitting a wee bit now. And like you're saying, maybe a wee scared, like taking him out the team and putting Lawrence in his place. That might be the answer until Lawrence obviously gets injured again. So I agree with you there.
Absolutely. Stephen says we could put Cantwell on the left, put Tom Lawrence to play the 10. I suppose that's one possible role, but I suppose the last time he did that, he got subbed after half an hour, didn't he, in the Aris game, because Clement wasn't happy with him not following instructions. I suppose that's the only thing. Ian thinks that Cantwell could be off in the summer. There does seem to be a bit of a rumour going around that Philippe Clement doesn't particularly fancy Cantwell, but's playing him because he literally has no one else. CGM says, I assume Cantwell will be rested or not risked with his groin. Clement would sell Cantwell. I just don't think they're on the same wavelength. This does seem to be a strong rumour, Laura, going round that Cantwell and Clement are not exactly vibing at the moment, not getting on great at the moment.
Well, one thing I do know, fact, was Clement told him he's not to dance when he's celebrating. He said that's not the Rangers style, or it's not his style anyway. Cantwell used to do his wee dances and everything. I know he told him he's to stop doing that, which I thought was a wee bit unfair. I'm celebrating, for God's sake. So I've heard the rumours. Whether they're true or not, I don't know.
Absolutely. We know a lot of these rumours, Laura. We don't know what's going on. Gallant says, when do we think they'll announce Diamanda? I think it'll be the next couple of days. I think it could be tomorrow before the weekend, or it could even be before the game on Saturday. I think that could be the way that it works. It all depends, really. I think on I think the final. What I read was that it's the medical's been passed. The contract's been agreed. It's just basically now clearing the paperwork and international clearance, because he's obviously only a young lad and making sure that he can get a work permit because he's from the Ivory Coast. I think that is just basically what is holding up the deal at the moment. That is all it is. But hopefully it will be cleared up and it'll be named. And someone said on X to me earlier, I would love a multiple unveiling tomorrow. Would be nice, for definite. For definite. Absolutely. So, Laura, look, prediction. Have you got a prediction for Saturday's game against St Mirren? I'm going to go confident here. I'm going to go Rangers 3, St Mirren 0. With let's see. I'm going to go with Silva to score the first goal. Laura, have you got a prediction for Saturday?
Oh, right. Okay. So I'm going to go 3-1. I think we maybe can see the wee bit early on. Who's going to score? Who's your
first goal scorer?
My first goal scorer, I am going to. Do you know what? Let's say Ross McCausland.
Nice, like it. Kenneth says 4-1 to Rangers. Can't wait to see Diamande, says Tam. Robert says 4-0. Gallant says 2-0 Rangers. Dessers and Balogun. Big Leon getting a goal would be nice. Hit the bar. 4-0 to Rangers, says Blue Baron. Some confident predictions here. Kyle says 3-0. Geordie says the 3 words that cause a meltdown across the city and all across the nation of Scotland. Penalty to Rangers. Tam says 3-0. Stephen says 6-0. Silvers to score the first goal. That'd be brilliant, Stephen, a 6-0. Lawrence looking unlikely now that he's still a week left. 5-1 to Rangers. To Rangers. Ian says, Blue Horizon says, Tav for the first goal. 4-1 win for us. Well, guys, thank you so much to everyone in the live chat tonight. Some fantastic comments. Lorah, thank you so much again for coming on to the podcast. Been absolutely brilliant. Thank you for sharing your opinions and coming straight from work to talk to us here.
I absolutely love it. Anytime.
Absolutely fantastic. And guys, it's been scrolling on the bottom of the screen all the time whilst we've been talking. Remember to check out Lorah on TikTok at Lorah Hatton. Does some great lives on there. Plays some good Rangers music. And you can help stick up for her, guys, when she's getting all those Tims coming on and having a go.
I need a bit of backup.
So get on there, guys, and back up against her. Steve says 3-1. Agrees with more with Lorah on the McCausland for the first goal. Guys, as always, if you can do me two things as we leave tonight. Number one, if you can smash the like, it helps the video to grow. And number two, please remember, never forget, we are the people.